Hello everyone, it's me, back with another episode of Changeling. We are on chapter 4. If you haven't noticed, I'm still wearing the same shirt, and that is because I'm going to record this all at once because I can almost guarantee you if I stop playing this game, I will not start playing it again. So if I ever want to see the end of this game, and I just have to barrel through, finish it. I don't know what it is about this game that is making me want to finish it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just drawn into it, even though so much of it I'm just kind of like, on. I don't know. I think part of it's calling to me back when I used to be a Twilight girl. I think it's touching that deep part of me that used to like stuff like that. So here we are. We're gonna hopefully finish this game. God. Can't believe I'm saying that. So yeah, we're going into chapter 4, Under the Bridge. Seems like it might be something to do with her brother. You know, water under the bridge sort of a thing. We'll see though. I was probably out for no more than a few minutes. When I started to come to, I realized I must be lying on the sofa. I could hear the others arguing. You could have at least tried to catch her. My hands were full, as you might have noticed. Brenna, it's not funny. His hands were full. Mark, couldn't you have reached at her before she hit the floor? Ah, they're talking about me. I didn't see a need. I highly doubt a fall from that height would seriously harm her in the first place. Are you calling her short? I have to warn you, she's always hated that. That jerk. I'm not short, just a— oh my god, no. I'm not even gonna read that out loud. I groaned and tried to open my eyes so I could tell him off. Nora, are you okay? The first face I saw was Corvin's looming over me, looking concerned. Easy. You don't want to move around too fast just yet. I thought I saw— You did see it. I bolted upright. It was me, sorry. I didn't know a newbie was in the club or I would have stayed away. I stared up at him. His head was where it should be. Thank God. Oh, I didn't recognize you without a head. That does make things difficult. The unfamiliar black-haired girl was still laughing. I didn't find the situation funny at all, to be honest. This girl's pretty cute. They called her Catty, which makes me think it's like a joke. It's like a play on words. She might be some sort of like shapeshifter into a cat or something. I don't think we've met. The girl bounded across the room, pushed Corvin out of the way, and bounced onto the sofa right next to me. She had no concept of personal space. She was practically sitting right on top of me. Nora, that's pretty rich for you to fucking say, because you have some problems touching people. Brenna, that was my foot. So, you're the new girl. She looked up and down, almost as if sizing me up. She was pretty, but her gaze made me feel really uncomfortable. She leaned in really close, staring into my eyes. A deep frown creased her brow. I stood carefully just to give myself some space to breathe. Corvin stood too, reaching out to steady me when I swayed slightly on my feet. Are you okay? I'm just trying to work out at what point I fell down the rabbit hole, so maybe I can climb back out. Corvin patted my shoulder gently. Maybe Allie should take you home now. I don't think we've really made this very easy on you today. It's been a while since we had a new member in your exact position. Yeah, the trick with the headless boy blocking the doorway isn't one I recommend for new members. Funny. Come on, Nora, Core's right. Probably best you get out of here for a while. I didn't argue. I definitely had enough of the Paranormal Mysteries Club for one day. Allie led me out of the room and I just followed obediently, still in a daze. The moment I stepped into the hall, the voices of the others completely faded away. One problem with recording this all at once is my voice is, losing it. I looked back once, but all I saw was an empty classroom. How does that— I mean, if someone sees us walk out of there or something. Like I said earlier, the spell is designed to do what it takes to protect the secret. It can alter perception or even memories to ensure that no one notices anything. I see. I know it's a lot. I'm sorry. If I could have warned you, I would have. Please don't be mad at me. The more I thought about it, the more I realized she probably couldn't have done things differently. It's not like I'd have believed her if she told me the truth during the drive to school. As much as I wanted to, I couldn't really fault her there. It's not your fault, okay? I just feel a bit, well, overwhelmed. That's understandable. I'm sorry I freaked out. I'm sorry we scared you. She put her arm around my shoulders and we walked towards the stairs. We didn't say much for the rest of the walk to the car. This is all we get? Oh, we're just like clicking through the... Oh, that was it. Just realized I should probably save. Right, as Ollie was about to get in the driver's side, I stopped. This is all real, isn't it? I'm not crazy? It's real, and you're not crazy. At least no more than you were yesterday. Cute. After you have time to process it, it'll probably seem a lot less scary. In the end, despite everything, we're all pretty much just normal high schoolers. Lord. Someone was walking around without a head. In what universe does that constitute a normal high schooler? She just laughed silently and motioned toward the car. Come on. Was it like this for you? I mean, when you found out you were a witch? I guess it wasn't so sudden. I started seeing things. Weird things first. I thought I was going completely bonkers and I was afraid to tell anyone, especially Mom and Dad. Mom is busy with her research and Dad is busy with the company. I didn't think either of them needed to deal with their daughter losing their mind. She gave me a long, serious look. I tried to deal with it alone for months. You, at least, have the rest of us. It'll make a big difference. I managed to get myself into some serious trouble. There are a lot of pitfalls in this world if you don't know that they're there. Normally, we help educate people and get them read up and learn things on their own so they know what to expect. I didn't have anyone to do that for me. I nearly died. My magic went completely haywire, but this one particular wizard helped me. He introduced me to everyone else, and I realized I wasn't alone. When did this all happen? You never said a thing. Well, I mean, of course you didn't. Texting me with, hey, I'm a witch was probably the last thing on your mind, but I wish I'd been there for her. I was freaking out as it was. I couldn't imagine dealing with all of it completely alone. No support? Even if I could have known what she was dealing with, I felt like a really crappy best friend. It was almost 3 years ago. No need to worry about it now. Of course, now that you know, you better be prepared for all the rants about magic and every witchy thing, like brooms. People actually ride them. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how they manage it. Having a stick jammed between your legs is the most uncomfortable thing ever. I couldn't deny I couldn't deny that it sounded uncomfortable when she put it that way. And rather suspicious, to be honest. What? What? This is some fucking weird ass shit, y'all. Haven't quite gotten the hang of it yet? Yeah, no, definitely not. We had a good laugh over that, and I found myself so relieved that Allie was, well, still Allie. I knew her crazy secret, but it felt like nothing changed except the topic of conversation. That was comforting. She dropped me at my house, promising she'd text to check on me. After the drive and the hot shower, I was able to put things into perspective. Millions of people dreamed of something magical happening to them, and here I was having it actually happen to me. Okay, I could do without the headless fellow club member thing. That was creepy. Why is he headless anyway? And the thought of being a faerie or something was outright weird and still uncomfortable, but it was still kind of cool in a way. I went to bed promising myself to have a more open mind the next day. Okay. So I'm just deciding how I'm doing this to myself. It seems to have gotten... I don't know, there's peaks and valleys, yo. Some parts of it are okay, and other parts of it are like... okay. The next morning, I woke early and texted... Whoa, sorry, y'all. I hope you can't hear that in the background. That was my dryer. Next morning, I woke early and tired and texted Allie that I'd meet her down by the neighborhood entrance instead of at my house. Hang on, I'm gonna go turn my dryer off. If I can remember how to pause the recording. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Maybe you can't. Oh no! I can't figure out how to pause it. Oh god. You know what? I guess we're just gonna live with it then, huh? Oh well. The next morning I woke early and texted Allie that I'd meet her down by the neighborhood entrance instead of at my house. I thought a morning walk would help clear my head and get me prepared for the crazy that awaited me at school. And I was kind of worried about facing Mom and being able to act normal. She always had the weirdest knack for figuring out when something was bothering me. I still needed time to get my head around all this before trying to work out how to successfully keep it from my family. Especially Spencer. I couldn't deal with him while this was hanging over me. I just quickly said I wanted to take a walk before school and slipped away while Mom was getting ready for work. It was noticeably colder than it had been the day before. Well, it was the middle of October after all. In a couple of weeks we'd already been into November. The leaves were all just waiting for a good fall storm to come knock them down. I adjusted the strap of my book bag and tipped my head up, taking a long, deep breath of cool air. Walking in the morning sun made yesterday afternoon seem even further away. Everything was just normal. The world looked like it always had, and yesterday was seeming more like a weird dream. It was hard to brace myself for something that didn't even feel real yet. I shook my head slightly and kept walking. Ahead of me was the little creek and a bridge that went over it. It's so cool. I'd been wanting to take some reference shots, though. I didn't think I had time. It might not hurt to at least stop and get some ideas for angles, though. Allie had to drive by there to get to the entrance anyway, so it's not like I'd miss her. I slowed my steps as I reached the start of the bridge, peering down to where the creek turned away and vanished into the trees. Pretty. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to take one or two photos while I was there. I reached into my bag to find my phone. Come by. Come by. I paused, tipping my head to the side. Was that a voice? I stood still and listened. Sure enough, there was a faint voice muttering in a raspy sing-song. It sounded like it was coming from under the bridge. Currants and gooseberries, bright fire like barberries, figs to fill your mouth, citrons from the south, sweet to tongue and sound to eye. Come by, come by. Someone really is under there. The creepy voice which continued to sing conjured images from every old fairy tale I'd ever read. Still, I wonder if it's a homeless person. I listened carefully. I could hear them puttering around down there as they hummed. It was awfully cold for someone to be staying under the bridge. I bet the neighborhood association would have a heart attack, too. I probably shouldn't look. I didn't really want to look. But, I mean, whoever it was couldn't just stay under there. It would probably be best to let someone know so they could find them a more reasonable shelter. I found myself carefully picking my way down the embankment, one hand on the lower edge of the bridge to steady myself. The voice stopped the moment my feet started crunching through the dried leaves. Shoot, what if it's someone dangerous? My heart was in my throat as I carefully peeked under the bridge. I expected just a craggy old man in dirty clothes. Instead, I came face to face with an impossibly large moss-green eyes and a mouth as wide as my head, giving a toothy smile. This is cute. This is neat. I like this. I froze. The eyes blinked. I blinked. Whatever it was reached toward me with a gnarled hand. I let out a shriek and staggered backwards. You're back! You came back! Creaky joints unfolded and huge feet shuffled toward me. The thing was massive, much bigger than I'd realized at first. I tried to scramble away. Come with me, I'll help. I know how to help. I threw my book bag at the creature's face and tried to run up the slippery embankment. A clammy hand cramped around my wrist, pulling me back toward the creek. I screamed, desperately trying to pry the fingers off. Let go! Let go! Its grip tightened and it chuckled with that rusty voice. Come away! Come! I looked back, terrified, as it dragged me down the creek bank. Suddenly there was a heavy weight against my back, and two soft hands covered my eyes. Don't look. You mustn't look at goblin men. That's what the old poems say, isn't it? The whispered voice was familiar. That girl from the club yesterday? What was her name? Brenna? Help! Come on now, let her go. There's a soft, menacing hiss next to my ear, and suddenly my wrist was free. I tore myself away from Brenna and, nearly in tears, scrambled back towards the bridge. I clawed my way up the side of the embankment and bolted for the entrance, my heart still in my throat. As my feet pounded against the pavement, I heard a hoarse, raspy voice rustling after me, but this time I couldn't make out the words. By the time I reached the entrance, I was completely out of breath. I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see that thing clambering up the road for me, but neither it nor Brenna were anywhere in sight. What was that? A few moments later, I saw Allie's car crest the hill and come quickly toward me. I sagged with relief, barely waiting for her to stop completely before climbing in. What's wrong? I swear I could never hide anything from her. There was something under the bridge. Allie glanced in the rearview mirror. Something? I shook my head, still trying to catch my breath. Just go, please. My voice was completely hoarse. I wondered if anyone heard me screaming. And what had Brenna been doing there? I suppose I shouldn't question that. She definitely saved me. Allie and I drove in silence, but she kept giving me sidelong looks. I kept checking behind us just in case. Allie was nice enough to wait until I calmed down before asking about it, and that was just about when we reached the school. Okay, now tell me. I don't know, I was going over the bridge and I heard a voice. I shouldn't have looked. I definitely should not have looked. What was it? I'm not sure. It looked vaguely person-shaped, but it had huge teeth and eyes. It tried to grab me. I pulled up the sleeve of my jacket and showed her the distinctly hand-shaped mark on my forearm. Whoa! You okay? I nodded. Come on, let's go up to the club room. I don't want to sit out here in the cold. I just nodded again and followed her as she started into the school. How'd you manage to get away from it? She was speaking quietly, but there was no one around to hear us anyway. Brenna actually showed up and helped. Brenna did? Why, She just doesn't usually get involved in things unless she has to. I guess that does kind of narrow down what it might have been, though. How so? Well, normally something like that could have just been just about anything. There are tons of nature spirits, elementals, ghosts that lurk about, but Brenna typically doesn't take an interest in things unless it involves the fae. Why is that? Well, she is one. A faerie, that is. I'm just glad she was there. It was trying to drag me into the woods. Well, for the time being, I think it would be best if you don't go checking out any more voices until you've learned a little more about this world. Especially this time of year. This time of year? There is always peak activity in the paranormal community before Halloween and Samhain. It's best to be a little cautious this time of year. No more checking out weird voices, and until you've learned a little bit more about what to expect and what to avoid, no more walks by yourself. I could definitely agree with that. I looked at my forearm again. It was going all motley and purple. It was definitely gonna bruise. Come on, let's go up. You can stay in the club room until you calm down and feel better, okay? What about class? Well, we're given a little more lenience when it comes to being late. I mean, a lot of the teachers are cryptics, you know. We can get you a late pass. What? Principal, too. Has that always been the case? Well, you didn't think there would be a club of paranormal and magical people in the school without the staff knowing, did you? The truth is, there are a lot of places that are sort of hubs for supernatural community. This town is like that. There are a lot of us here. So the school is definitely a bit of a haven for people like us. Walking in the club room wasn't quite as weird as yesterday. At the very least, this time the weird shift from reality to not reality was less jarring. I went straight to the sofa and flopped down face first onto a throw pillow. Is it always like this? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's always pretty wild, but you quickly learn how to handle it all. When to stick your nose in and when to stay out of things. Here. I looked up as to see her holding out a bottle of water for me. I took it from her as she sat down. Here's the plan. I think you should go to the library and do some reading. The more you know about other cryptics, the more you'll be able to handle the situations that come up. That's important for all of us. Knowledge is power and all that. What about you? I'm going to call the agency and have them check out that bridge occupant. The agency? Yeah, the Cryptic Management Agency. Kinda mentioned them yesterday, remember? Yesterday is a bit of a blur, to be honest. I just remember something about a registration office. Part of the agency. Like I mentioned, there's actually a government organization dedicated to dealing with the paranormal. It's the X-Files, dude. And they're the reason I couldn't go hide in my closet and pretend none of this happened. Basically, yeah. So some government agency handles things like bridge occupants? Well, yes and no. The Department of Paranormal Regulation is an umbrella organization for several smaller groups, but those are all federal groups. Locally, we get a management agency. Management agency? I guess you can think of them as being similar to local law enforcement. They have several departments that all basically try and keep the peace where cryptics are concerned. For the most part, they protect humans and try to keep cryptics from disrupting normal society. See, I think it sounds hard. It can be. A lot of cryptics fit in with humans, but so many of them just don't. They're too alien, too wild. Some aren't even sentient. Anyway, the local agency has a department that handles this sort of thing. Containment and control. And doesn't the club, work with them or whatever? Yep, I do too, personally. Part-time, but not everyone in the club does. Anyway, no need for you to worry about any of that. Right now, I want to show you something you're gonna love. She stood and led me to a door in the back of the room. I followed behind much more slowly. Is this something that's gonna freak me out? Yes, but in a good way, I promise. I watched her dubiously as she rapped 3 times, then pushed the door open. I peeked over her shoulder, wondering what exactly she thought I was going to love so much in what I had assumed was a closet. What? Surprised? What? Yeah, I was surprised. There was a massive library of awesome hiding behind that door. Of course I am. How? This has to be some sort of space-bending alternate dimension craziness or something. It's something like that. She took my arm and pulled me into the library. My morning had just gotten about 1,000 times more awesome. Basically, Nora, just about anything is possible with magic. We can get to multiple places from the door in our club room, but from inside the library, the door will only lead back to the club. Is that why you knocked like that? Yeah, the different patterns and numbers of knocks determines where you end up. There's obviously a limit, so none of the patterns are too complex. I feel like as stuff keeps happening, I'm realizing the writers of this had good ideas, good world building ideas for little bits. This is pretty cool. The idea that there's a secret club of supernatural people and you knock on this door and it takes you to different places and stuff. But then they connected all the cool world building stuff together with half-formed high schoolers as characters, and I'm like, why? You could have made this so much more interesting. Just make it about the adults is the thing. I'm guessing so the only thing I can assume is that the writers of this were high schoolers themselves, because you could have made it so cool. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh. I just think I don't know. Nora is okay. Allie is definitely just an exposition character. The lore dump I just got was definitely just exposition character. Everyone else is just a walking stereotype. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Why did I decide to play this game all the way through? What have I done? Okay, this whole thing is weird and scary, and I'm not entirely sure I'm okay with any of it, but this part is so damn cool. Aw, is my little bookworm excited? Okay, this is the other thing. Listen. They're all just stereotypes. Why? Yes, she is. I thought you meant I should do reading at the school library or something. Allie laughed as she waved to a bookish man behind a dark wood desk. He immediately left off what he was doing and came towards us. Nora, this is Velos Eovan. Eovanu? Yeah. He's one of the caretakers of this place, and he's also a wizard. Dude, I definitely thought this guy was an elf. Come on. It's nice to meet you. He really didn't look at all like a wizard, but he nodded politely. This guy doesn't look like a wizard? I mean, he doesn't look like Merlin, but whatever. And what can I do for you? Velos, this is Nora. I told you about her. Ah, yes, the new member in the club, I recall. He had a fairly prominent accent of some kind. Well, it sounded like he might be from Eastern Europe somewhere. Then again, for all I knew, this entire library was in Eastern Europe somewhere. Well, there was kind of an incident this morning. He raised an eyebrow as he looked over at us over the top of his glasses. I was just about to go contact the agency. In the meantime, I thought Nora could stay here for a while, maybe read up on various cryptics. Since she's still kind of new to all this, I was thinking she could start with something basic and go from there. Just start something to start getting herself educated, especially considering how close we are to Samhain. Yes, this is a dangerous time to just be coming into this world. Dangerous? What exactly is so dangerous? Nora, you almost got fucking abducted this morning. What do you mean, what exactly is so dangerous? She had said something about an increase in paranormal activity. I'll try to explain it later. In the meantime, I'm sure we can locate some useful information for you, if you'll follow me. Well, that wasn't at all foreboding and concerning. I wandered after him, still looking around at all the books. What about when class starts? I told you not to worry about that today. Just stay in here and read for a while. Vila stepped behind his desk, shuffling around for something in the stack of papers. What sort of cryptic are you? I don't know. Sorry, we're so kind of fuzzy on that one. I see. Then what particular species would you like to research? If you're a beginner, I would recommend one of the more common species as a starting point. Many of them have subclasses you can delve into for further reading if you like. He slid a sheet of paper across the desktop at me. They just have a list of cryptics written down. Perhaps something on this list. They literally just have a list of cryptics written down. Ooh. Interesting. I'm going to read about all of them is the thing. Hang on. Here, I'm going to save here. We can start with one and we'll come back. Every option was basically completely weird, but I finally settled on fairies. They kept coming up in all of the conversations, so I should probably educate myself on them. And it seemed less disturbing than something like vampires, werewolves, or other things that might eat me. I wasn't sure I could handle reading about things that intense just yet. Then again, what did I know about any of this? Maybe werewolves were vegetarians and vampires were just misunderstood. For that matter, maybe fairies were actually soul-sucking cannibals or something. Or creepy bridge dwellers. I didn't think any of it was going to be easy to read about. And we're about to be 30 minutes in, and I'm concerned if I want to read all of these, it's going to be really, really long. So maybe we'll end up stopping this one early. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. At any rate, Vilas didn't seem surprised by my choice. He just nodded and let out a shrill whistle. I half expected some kind of library troll to trot out from the stacks with a book, but no, it was even better. The book zipped out of the shelves and right into Vilas' waiting hands. He promptly turned it over to me. Thank you? Convenient. We left him at his desk and Allie walked me to a nearby table, stealing glances at me every few seconds. Yeah, okay? Well, no. Yes? I have no idea. Okay. I need to contact the containment team about your little bridge friend, but I don't think I want to leave you here alone, so I'm just going to send someone to stay here while I'm gone. Vilas is here. Yeah, that's basically like being alone. He barely talks, trust me. Okay. Geez, sit down. You look like you're about to pass out. She pulled out a chair out and forced me into it, and just stared blankly at the book in my hands. Thanks. Hang on, someone will be right in, okay? Allie left me there and returned to the clubroom. I rubbed my face tiredly. There was so much to take in at this point that I felt a bit like my head was going to explode. Sleepwalking, suddenly being magical, creepy bridge trolls, and interdimensional libraries. What happened to my normal life? I set the book on the table and flipped it open, leaning forward to scan the text. I tried with little success to focus on the words. Fairies have been known since ancient times. They have deep connections to many other supernatural races, including vampires, ghosts, elemental spirits, and many more. Though often given diminutive names like we folk, most fae are anything but. They are among the most diverse of any paranormal race, with virtually limitless subclasses and an infinite array of sizes, shapes, and types, many of which are extremely dangerous for mortals to come in contact with. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Is anything in this paranormal world not dangerous? Fairies have morals and values that are quite foreign to human beings. Things that most humans would consider reprehensible are met with indifference in the fairy community. Conversely, things that humans would shrug off as trivial are considered extremely offensive by the fae. Even so, fairies and humans have a long history together, and fairies have often exhibited an almost obsessive curiosity about human society, even going so far as to kidnap human children and whisk them away to their realm. There are still many theories as to why. I felt a sharp pain in my temple and I hissed as I instinctively put my hand on my head to rub it away. Are you alright? I started as a familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. Ewan? What are you... Wait, did Allie send you? She said you were here by yourself and needed company. Ah. Well, I'm glad you have your head today. glad you have your head today. Ugh, why did I say that? He didn't seem to find it funny. Okay, we don't have to talk about it. That's fine. I mean, sure, you scared about 20 years off my life, but that's fine. No big deal. I can't control when that happens, but I didn't mean to scare you. Next time I'll give you a fair warning so you don't scream like a little kid and pass out again. I did not scream. Besides, I'm never fainting around you again. You apparently don't try to catch people. If you've ever had your head fall off and roll on the floor, you'd probably not be so keen on dropping it to catch people either. This is the weirdest conversation I've ever had. Okay, fair enough. I admittedly don't have much experience with my head falling off. Most don't. Is it okay if I ask you something? Yeah, go ahead, I guess. The head. Why does it, fall off anyway? I wondered if it was okay to ask that. Maybe it was private? I wasn't sure I'd want to talk about if my head sometimes fell off. Ewan didn't seem bothered by it, I guess. Ever heard of Doulahan? No. I've read about them. Headless riders. Okay, Headless Horseman, okay. Is that what you are? Shh. Sorry. I stared at Ewan as he sat across from me, completely nonchalant. He was a Headless Horseman, basically? Or maybe they didn't ride horses anymore, but motorcyclists? My father is one. So am I. I see. I didn't realize they could have children. I guess I really did have a lot to learn about this world. How many paranormal cryptics are there at the school? Ewan stared at me seriously for a long time, before he crossed his arms and shifted his gaze to the side. There are quite a few beyond the ones you met yesterday. Danny, Elliot, William. I don't know if you know any of them. Danny and Elliot live next door to me. Allie mentioned they were in the club. William's in my literature class. So they're like, what? Is it okay to ask that? Is that private? I have no idea about, etiquette and things. You should ask them if you really want to know. Not everyone is thrilled to be a part of this world, so not everyone's comfortable talking about it. Anyway, besides the ones you know of, there are a few others who don't bother to show up to the club. That's just so crazy. Have there always been this many? I wouldn't know. I've only lived here about a year. Oh, I just moved back here. He raised an eyebrow. I know that? I shifted uncomfortably and looked back at the book in front of me. I couldn't get a read on him. Sometimes he was so brusque. Other times he showed evidence of an actual sense of humor. Did you really not know about any of this? Allie said, no, I didn't. Until yesterday, I thought it was completely normal. Really? There's never been any indication you weren't normal? No, I thought about what Allie said earlier. About the things Spencer and I used to see in the woods, the times I vanished, the sleepwalking, the things Spencer had said about me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when I was little. People tell a lot of weird stories about you. Did you really have no idea? That again. Look, it's easy to find a way to dismiss weird things if you don't happen to believe in the supernatural. If a little kid says they see something strange, people assume it's an imaginary friend, not a spirit. If a kid gets lost in the woods, then shows up again unharmed and saying they don't remember what happened, people assume they got lucky, not that they're just a weird forest elf that knows the ways of the woods. So yeah, weird things have happened to me. Was it all pointing to me being a cryptic? Maybe. How can I know if I just got lost and hit my head somewhere, or if I wandered off to frolic with vampires? I don't have clear memories of any of these so-called weird things. Whoa. Relax. Sorry if I upset you. I was just a little curious. I sighed and rubbed my forehead. That had probably been a little bit too much on my part. No, I'm sorry if I snapped at you. I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. And I think I have fewer answers than anyone else right now. You'll figure it out eventually. We all do. What about you? I mean, did you always know? He smiled bitterly and leaned forward, resting both elbows on the table as he looked down at the book in front of me. I always knew my father was fae. He didn't see a reason to keep it from me. I see. So, Doulahans are a type of fae. I guess that's what the book meant by subclasses. Hybrid children like me tend to be more or less fully human, or more or less fully fae. You don't really get something in between from interbreeding. If they're born on this side, meaning the human world versus the fairy world, the tendency is towards children being human. If you turn out human, you might have a weird aura or even some natural magic, but that's about it. If you turn out fae, then, well, you're fae, with all that entails. I thought for a long time I thought I was human. I had a minor talent with magic, but no overtly fae traits. My parents cautioned me that fae traits could emerge suddenly. I didn't really take it seriously. The way he was talking gave me the feeling that the story wasn't going somewhere pleasant. Well, anyway, they were right. I'm sorry, you don't have to tell me this if you don't want. I shouldn't have asked. I could only imagine the issues that ensued when your head starts falling off uncontrollably. It was so absurd, the whole thing. But I knew firsthand that when the absurd was happening to you, it could also be scary. And probably painful too, if the look on his face was anything to go by. Ewan sighed and dragged his hands through his hair. It's fine. Anyway, that incident is why my family moved here. That's all there is to it, really. Hopefully things go better for you. I hope so too. Still, it was weird. He didn't look like a fairy, at least not what I imagined a fairy to look like. Though, if I really studied him, the ears did seem a bit pointy. I wondered why I hadn't noticed that before. Sorry, I interrupted your reading. No, it's okay. Sorry if I made you talk about something unpleasant. He smiled slightly. I already said it's fine. Anyway, whatever happened with that brother? The other day, you said he ditched you here? Oh, yeah. Totally grounded. What's his deal, anyway? He just hates me. Maybe he figured out I'm secretly a paranormal weirdo and it bothers him. I said it jokingly, but I was starting to think he really did know something was off about me all this time. Maybe I should ask him about it. Don't. I jumped, startled by him suddenly raising his voice. Shh! Sorry. I looked back at Ewan expectantly. He rubbed the back of his head. I mean, it's just that unless you come from a family like mine, it can be kind of tough revealing this kind of thing. Until you know more about your situation, you should stay quiet, especially if your relationship with your brother is already rocky. And if your parents know nothing about this, they'll just think you're crazy if you can't prove your story. That's probably true. Given some of the weird things I'd done in the past, it probably wasn't wise to give them anything to worry about. Ewan fished something out of his pocket. It took me a moment to realize it was his phone. Look, I'm the worst person for giving advice, and don't expect me to be much of a shoulder to cry on. But I'll at least give you my number. You never know what kind of crazy things might happen if you have some sort of abilities trying to awaken. If you need anything, you can call me. I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect that kind of offer. I could always call Allie if I had problems. Then again, I guess it wouldn't hurt to have some secondary support if I ended up wandering out to some weird spot at night or something. And it wasn't bad to have a guy give me his number. It's not like Ewan is bad looking. He had nice eyes. Okay, I'll give you mine too. We quickly exchanged numbers. You should try to get the numbers of some of the other club members as well. We usually try to keep in touch if anything major happens. Ah, so that's why he was giving me his number. Well, it's not like I was hoping he was giving me special treatment. Ewan stood and stretched. It looked he was leaving me here. I smiled up at him. Thanks for staying with me. I feel a bit better now. After yesterday, I suppose I owe you one. Definitely. Next time I expect you to at least make some effort to catch me, or at least break my fall. He smirked slightly. Then next time, don't faint. Well, at least next time I'll be prepared. It wasn't that scary, just unexpected. Allie's probably back by now. Want me to send her in? No, I think I'll just go with you. I stood as well, returning my book to Velos. He insisted I take it with me and continue reading at home. When Ewan and I reached the club room, we apparently entered at the same time that Allie returned. She was just walking in as well, but from the hallway. She smiled when she saw us. You're looking better. I feel a little less like the sky is falling. You weren't too mean on her, right, Ewan? He wasn't mean at all. Oh, he's usually mean to the new people. I'm not mean. If you say so. I just felt bad about yesterday, that's all. He glared at Allie as she smirked at him. I'm going to class. He stalked out. Thanks again. If he responded, I didn't hear it. Alright. Hang on. We're gonna save. Actually, here. We're gonna save it here. And then we're gonna go back. I wanna see. No, do not overwrite. Load. This is what I want. Let me make sure. Okay, we're fine. I want to see, because I'm interested to see if the person that comes in is different based on which book you picked. Natural vampire seemed like a good starting point. I felt like you couldn't get much more basic than that when it came to weird magic things. And there was no point learning about infected types until I at least knew about the natural ones. Oh wait, actually we're at 40 minutes, so we're gonna go back. Oh, you can actually choose again. Anyway, we're gonna leave it here because this video's getting long. Guys, struggling. I feel like I've already like in for a penny, in for a pound sort of thing. I've already recorded what, like 4 videos of this? 5? I feel like I should just keep playing it. Finish it. I'm kind of interested to see what's happening. It's just like some of the delivery is bad and like it's making it hard because like there's so many interesting story beats and world building sections and parts that are cool, but it's just like bookended by such weird characters and weird things and weird dialogue that sometimes I'm like, who talks like this? No one. So yeah. Alright, well this has been episode 4 of Changeling. If you like the video, please click the like button. If you like what I do, feel free to subscribe. I really appreciate it. Feel free to comment. Tell me what you think about this game. I'm really curious to see what other people think about it, because I haven't really had much interaction with it outside of, you know, playing it for the first time and looking at some of the comments about it on the Itch.io store page. So I don't really know what other people think. I'm curious. So yeah. That's it. That's all I got. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for making it through that again. Congratulations if you made it all the way to the end. Anyway, again, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.